So Hui has the question, what is the definition of conceit mana? Some say it is a sense of self, some say it's when you compare with others. Confused. Hui Wen, do you have like, how do I put it? Do you have the Chinese term for this? No, huh? Okay. So so because conceit is man, usually translated from man, and then mana itself, right? Um, depends on the writing. It can be the referring to the usually referring to the mind or referring to the mind. So so usually conceit is just positioned as itself by itself, mana by itself. So unless we are talking about Ran Wu Yi, which is the seventh consciousness, yeah. So I don't know what is the context that you are asking this or this phrase conceit mana, like what is the context where you get it from. But if we just look at conceit itself, it is basically the we can say that it's a sense of self. Yeah. Compare. Some say it's when you compare with others. The comparing with others is an expression of the self. Yeah, they are linked. So in a way that they are not different things. Yeah, it's just that the it is at when we say we compare with others, if there's no sense of self, you cannot be compared with others. You know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with saying that conceit expresses itself in terms of comparing with others. Yeah, but the comparing with others part is much more grosser. That means it's already active in an active state already. Whereas conceit usually refers to the very subtle sense of a self. Yeah, deep-seated sense of a self. Yeah, in the Buddhist teaching, we also split it into two parts. 分别我执, 具身我执. So 分别我执 is where you discriminate, yeah, through what you have heard from teachers, from teachings, from your fellow companions. Then you have an idea of a self, yeah. Or through thinking, you discriminate. This is I, this is me, this is mine. So this is 分别出来的我而执着。So it means that it is through your thinking that you conclude, yeah, or you have a sense of that you think this is me. Yeah. So for example, let's say if I say Hui Wen, then you know it's you, right? Yeah. If I say Oi, maybe you don't know it's you. Yeah. So, but the conceit part doesn't need you to discriminate that much. It is a very subtle sense of a self where thinking the thinking part don't really need to kick in so with words and everything. The way I can perhaps it can help you all understand is if let's say let's say you're walking in the streets, and then suddenly someone horn. Yeah, you were crossing the street, and then suddenly there was a horn. Bang! Yeah. So the moment you heard the horn, you may have a sense of like a fright. Okay. Then after that, you turn around um, and you get upset. Yeah, you get upset. Yeah, we can say that the upset is actually probably due to the 分别出来的我. Yeah, you get upset like, hey, how can you? What's wrong with you? You cannot see me. All this is much more grosser, whereas the earlier part, where you have a fright, that is more related to the sense of attachment, which is very subtle, very deep-seated. Or another example is, let's say you're at work, and then someone shouted your name, yeah, or shouted at you, yeah. So we are doing your work, and then someone, oh, yeah, okay, and then you have a fright also, and then when you turn around, it's your colleague, and your colleague start to criticize you, and then you may start to feel like, wow, your colleague don't give you face. Yeah. So all the later part, all the thinking part is related to the 分别, more to the 分别我执. But 分别我执 is rooted in 具身我执 also. Yeah. The Chinese translate as 具身我执. So it's like the moment you are born, that is present already. Yeah. The reason why it's present is because in the past life, this ignorance was there. So the ignorance conduced this ignorance. No? Whereas the secondary one is the 分别 part. So in context with the 10 factors, the 分别我执 is linked to the 我见, the self view, Sakya Ditti. Whereas 具身我执 is linked to the 无上分解, that conceit, man. That is removed only at the Arahant stage. Yeah, and that's why in some teachings we say that like even when very horrible things happen, in the face of very fearful things, Arahant remains unmoved because that very subtle one also removed. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the difference. For now, that should suffice. Louis O has a question. For the sixth precept, 不非时时, not eating at appropriate time. What is considered inappropriate time? Is it necessarily referring to eating after lunch? And is it totally abstain from eating all things except drinking? And is it restricted to only drinking plain water? Hui Wen says, yes, I saw the word in the 10 factors. Thank you. In the 10 factor, yeah. So in the 10 factor, right, I think because mana is Pali, yeah. So usually either they use mana or they use conceit. Yeah. Because mana also, because usually we write mana without the dash and whatever. Yeah. But mana also means conceit. Yeah. But it also means mind. So that's why just when I saw you put conceit mana, then I'm like, seldom you have both phrases together. Yeah, because mana is mana, then conceit. Yeah, if you mean mana as in conceit, then you don't have to put conceit if you put mana. Oh. Okay, so Louis' question, What is the inappropriate time? So strictly speaking, if you go by the Vinaya, right, the inappropriate time is when the sun has passed the highest point. Yeah, the highest point meaning that actually, of course, in 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 truth, the sun is uh, actually the sun is not stationary. Also, if you want to talk about truth, the sun is spiraling, is moving away from the center of the, yeah. So actually it's very complicated. Truth is always very complicated. Yeah. But as far as we are concerned, the sun seems to move around us. Okay. So let's just use that conventional truth to talk about Vinaya. Usually when we talk about Vinaya, right? This is related to another day when someone asks about whether related to conventional and ultimate truth. When we are talking about Vinaya, we usually talk about conventional truth. Yeah, we don't talk about ultimate reality. Yeah, ultimate truth. Because in ultimate truth, then a lot of the things don't seem to matter. Yeah, but because we are not at the ultimate truth level yet, if we look at Vinaya in the ultimate truth manner, we will end up violating a lot of things. Yeah. Oh, a bit more on that later or some other time. But basically, the sun go up, go down, right? So the way it's defined in the Vinaya is when the sun reaches the highest point, that is the start of the inappropriate time. After all the way until when the sun rises again. Yeah. So when the sun rises again, then you can eat. Oh. But in Singapore, the sun reaches the highest point close to 1 p.m. Yeah. If you look at the world map, right, and you look at time zone, yeah, when you take a plane, when you get to take a plane, they will usually show the map with a shadow. Yeah. So the shadow indicates which part of the world is bright, which part of the world is not is daytime, daytime and nighttime, right? It's a rough approximation. It's not the exact curve that is drawn. Yeah, because the Earth itself is undulating. So if you look at the time zone, uh, Singapore's time zone, right, is actually mapped further to the east than where it is. Yeah. Oh, it is further to the east than where it is. Yeah. So our physical time and the logical time is different. That's why ours is actually at 1 p.m. Oh, by right, the way that the time is 12, right? But even in those places where it's Chun set to 12, right? Throughout the year, the sun timing is a bit off. Yeah. Yeah. And that's because the way we orbit the Earth, the way Earth orbit the sun, it's not the whole thing is not symmetrical. But anyway, that's too much. The point is from around there all the way until the break of dawn. So I mentioned in other classes before that in the Vinaya, the way they define break of dawn is when you step out in the open, yeah, and then you can see the outline, 天地之别. That means from sky and horizon, you can see a distinct difference. Then that's break of dawn. Of course, if you see the sun, then it's break of dawn. But break of dawn is defined when you can see the distinction. Or when you extend your hand out, you can see the lines on your hand. But sometimes when we look at this, then it's like, oh, that's the only way you can tell break of dawn. Yeah. But what if that day it is cloudy? You know, some morning is super cloudy, right? That super cloudy day, then you cannot see the sun until like 8 plus. So then, does it mean that the inappropriate time shift according to how much sun there is? Oh, yeah. Then in the Vinaya class, we also discussed about what if you stay in North Pole or South Pole? You don't have to be in North Pole, South Pole. You just have to stay in Finland. Yeah. Or any of the Scandinavian countries. For half a year, the sun kind of almost don't set. Want to set, don't want to set, then rise again, but never quite rise. Yeah. So how? Yeah. And furthermore, because India is fairly equatorial, Singapore is fairly equatorial, so we can see the sun right at the top. Yeah. But for a lot of other countries, the sun is not really up in the sky above one, Yeah, the sun is in the distance. Yeah, because you know the if you are further up, right? When you look at when you look up, it is what you call it, perpendicular to the globe, ma. So you're perpendicular, the sun is not here, ma. The sun is here, ma. So for those in the upper hemisphere and lower hemisphere, they don't see sun like us on, Yeah, we always feel like, oh, 太阳就在上面. For many countries, 太阳不是在上面，他们太阳是在那边的. Yeah, that's why China 风水 right 坐北朝南 because 坐北朝南 the front side of the house will face the sun. They'll get sunlight. Yeah, so that you don't have so much moisture. 湿气不会这么重. Yeah. That's why if you are in the south, it should be 坐南朝北. Anyway, so Louis, 有没有听到? This one is for Louis. And of course for everybody also. Is it necessary to referring to eating after lunch? So strictly speaking, the timing was about it's not about lunch actually. The timing, the inappropriate time is about that timing. Yeah, and it's basically saying you can eat before that, shouldn't be eating after that. That is inappropriate. Yeah. So there are some teachings that says that the different timing is usually when different animals or different beings eat. So it says that the morning meal, is it morning meal? 日中一时 is where the enlightened ones eat, and then morning I think is heavenly beings, and then afternoon, night I remember is 恶鬼道. Yeah, then afternoon I think is an animal, but in science we know that animals eat at different times. So sometimes when you take this text, in the Vinaya, I don't recall having this reference to which timing who eat. Yeah, but if you look at the conditions for this rule to be set, right, it is because the monks went on alms round at different timing. Then it created some inconveniences for people, and there was one incident in particular where there was an arahant who went out for alms quite late at night. Then there was a pregnant lady who saw the arahant, but in the dark only saw the eyes or the teeth. I think it's the eyes. And then she screamed, like saying like, "Wow, 贵啊, what a 贵." Yeah. But because still arahant, whether you know or not, you say that is actually very heavy karma. So as a result, it is said that she suffered the miscarriage. Yeah, something like that. So after that, when the Buddha heard about it, the Buddha said that's an inappropriate timing, like shouldn't be going there. So quite interesting, that if you look at the conditions why some of these rules are set, it is really about that we eat at a certain time, but don't become a burden for a problem for the lay people. But for lay people observing this precept, then but then it's more about eating in moderation. More about eating in moderation. So what is allowed? After the timing, you're allowed to take water for sure. Yeah, medicine. And if If medication requires food, you're allowed to take food in conjunction with medication so that your medicine can take effect. What else is allowed? So in some Taiwanese monastery, then they say colored drinks are not allowed. Yeah, but as far as I can remember, in the Vinaya itself, it doesn't mention anything about color. Yeah, but sometimes in some monastery, they make it easier for people to have a blanket statement. Anything that has color inside, it means it is beyond what is allowed. Yeah. Then there are those that interpret the Vinaya to say, if anything inside has zha, that means there's pulp inside, or solid substance, is not allowed, and so on and so forth. The specific is a whole Vinaya class, so just give you in brief. In most cases, you can survive without taking anything else, just drink water. For most people, try not to drink cold water. The interesting thing is, don't take sugar water. Some people think, oh, wow, I don't have enough energy, I take sugar water. But it actually causes your stomach to churn. Yeah. Whereas when I was in Myanmar, they actually offer lime juice. Yeah. Pure lime. Then they what you call it? They make the lime juice, they boil it, and then they serve cold. Yeah. Can be warm, can be cold also. You'll be surprised, like, hey, lime juice, wouldn't it cause it? But actually, no. When you drink lime juice inside, Zhongyi says become 碱性, it become alkaline. Yeah. I don't know what is the rationale, but I suspect is that when you take lime juice, right, the body detects that it is already acidic, so it doesn't have to go and give it more acid to break it down or something like that. But lime juice is allowed in many centers. Okay. I mentioned before that there's the 5 items, which is the 7-day medicine, 7日药. But for most people, when you're observing 8 precepts, just that one day you need that medicine. I don't think so. So that should be it for this. Doreen Go asks, for the 7th precept, okay, last question. The part on no music and entertainment, what is considered inappropriate? Some say we should not engage in it, even if it's singing nursery rhymes for children. Well, if you are observing 8 precepts, singing nursery rhymes, so is it, and are you singing it as a form of entertainment?
So sometimes at work, then looking after children, then will engage in.
Can you oftentimes whenever you ask question, then you mumble, speak up. Can you repeat what you said? I couldn't catch you.
Okay, so sometimes at work, then look after the children, so we will engage in nursery rhymes, and sometimes.
Well, so okay, then let I let you all think about it. So if let's say someone is someone is someone works in a karaoke place, okay? Someone works in a pub. Okay, pub a bit too extreme. Let's say someone works as a singer. Then yes, the person want to observe 8 precepts. Do you all think the person can go to work and then sing? Cannot, right? Yeah, so if the person decides to observe 8 precepts, then that day the person cannot work. Yeah. It's not that we have anything against people. But if you are engaged in certain livelihood, then you have to decide you want a livelihood or but and that's why this precept, 8 precept is an optional practice. Yeah, it's not a compulsory practice for lay people. So yeah, because if you engage in nursery rhymes, so let me throw in a spanner for you. So if you consider, how about Buddhist songs? Yeah. So how about Buddhist songs? There are two kinds of Buddhist songs. One which is um, Dharma in nature. So for example, some Sambalka, yeah. Da 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 da, 一周黯淡水起一光明。Right? Basically coming about tomorrow, right? Is it tomorrow? Yeah. So throughout Singapore, okay, no lah, because now phase 2 strict measures. But usually Vesak Day, this will be playing in the many temples, right? So how? Then there's another type, which is, okay, actually there's 3 types. So there's the very traditional, like there's no way you can misinterpret that. There's another type, which is still, okay, these two can be together. Like the series of Buddhist songs written by some of the Buddhists back in the 70s or 80s. Yeah, like self-reliance. By ourselves is evil done, by ourselves we pain and endure. The lyrics is extracted from Dhammapada. This particular verse, yeah, is from Dhammapada. So it's actually the Dharma itself, and it's singing verses of Dharma. Yeah. So would this count as entertainment? Yeah. Then how about there's another last category, which is in recent years, there is one particular venerable. He uses the popular music tune, yeah, and then he has some verses, but the verses are not extracted from the sutra. Oh, so that is further one more distant away. Yeah, most would agree that if you were to chant or sing the Sambalka or the very Dharma type, it may be somewhat acceptable. But during 8 precepts, it's like, do you really have to do it? No. But again, there are those who, from certain traditions, they look at Mahana chanting and say, you're also singing one. Because our chanting does sound quite melodious in some ways. Sutra chanting not melodious. 如是我闻已是佛在舍卫国 is very monotonous. One tone, one beat. Yeah. But if you talk about 战佛记, yeah. 阿弥陀佛. Up and down, up and down, up and down. You know? So that's tune already. So questionable. But because it has become a convention, so temples also chant. And I'm sure when you attend 4T and they let you observe 8 precepts, whole day, Chinese Mahana, whole day there will be a few times of 赞佛机. Cannot run away, right? And then the 香赞, Ru, yeah. Even the 回向, yeah. Like we just recite the 回向. But whereas in the Chinese temple, we 愿消三藏主. A lot of up and down. So it is melodious. So perhaps the question is, what is the mindset when we engage in these tunes? Yeah, does it lead you towards more greed, hatred, and delusion, or away from it. Yeah, because it's not simply a matter of hearing those sounds. You know, if you look at the context, it is not simply a matter of hearing those sounds. That's why it's 这个歌舞唱戏不往观听, that you don't purposely go and listen to it. So that means to say, if you accidentally hear it, you don't transgress this rule. Why? Because you are not actively seeking it. Yeah. So the way I see it is more about it's more about what is the impact on you. What is your intent of engaging in it? And to me, not that I'm finding an excuse for Chinese Mahayana, but because you think about it, how many people when they recite 战佛记, they will be aroused in a bad way. You know what I mean? How many of you will start to think of worldly things? You know? Yeah. In most cases, you start to feel religious, spiritual. Yeah. Nursery rhyme, I'm not so sure. No, I'm not so sure. Nursery rhyme, not so sure. Of course, if you look at nursery rhyme, the verses usually quite benign. Yeah. But sometimes nursery rhymes can be teaching some ideas that is very worldly that may not be appropriate also. So in most cases, easier if you just avoid this part. Okay. I think that should suffice. That should suffice. Understand that some of you all do work in childcare. So if your work requires you to be singing song, because when you are engaging the kids, you cannot be just sitting down there and say, Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb which followed everywhere she go. Laugh lah, why you all don't laugh? Cannot be ma. Yeah, you'll be like, Mary had a little lamb. You'll be doing this ma. So and you cannot be doing this. It's very hard to do this while not so-called enjoying that process, right? So a bit difficult. So everybody agree? Can understand? Now I tell you something else. I turn it around. We ever go to the old folks home, right? We go to old folks home place and then we sing song. Sifu also join, no? I sing song for them. I engage them. Then how? Sifu, this precept is also under the Vinaya, like how? How? And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of monks and nuns who actually engage in social welfare services. And when they are with the elderlies, they will sing songs with them, you know? Yeah. So how? Yeah. So it's about your, it's a lot has to do with your intent. A lot has to do with your intent. Yeah. Like now I just sang, right? And I also all right. But when you're not, when it's not for this context, I don't go and oneself start to harm. You know what I mean? Yeah. So for 8 preceptors, just for one day, one night, where you can try to avoid it so that you don't have to have the ambiguity of, hey, did I like that or did I like that? Oh, easy. More straightforward. Okay. 愿消三障诸烦恼，
愿消三障诸烦恼，
愿得智慧真明了，
愿得智慧真明了，
不愿罪障悉消除，
不愿罪障悉消除，
世世常行菩萨道。
世世常行菩萨道。
阿弥陀佛。Till we meet again, may be guided and protected by the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And as always,
Likewise.
Have a day of purity ahead.
To you. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sifu. Bye.
Thank you, Shifu.